Good day to you. Thank you for joining me. Please, if you will, like that like button or the thumbs up or whatever it happens to be for me, just so other people can see that, hopefully, I don't know, probably it's not going to do a whole lot of good. I think I'm being shadow banned right now by YouTube. Rumble, maybe not so much, but that's going to pass. We are doing the feasts, let's call them the korvan, that Yehovah expects during his holy rehearsals. The daily, last week we talked about the daily, the Sabbath, the new moon, Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and Shavuot. Basically the spring feasts, plus the daily, the Sabbath, the monthly. I want to start by just doing a quick review of some of the things that we talked about last week so that we have a context to understand more about what we're seeing this week. We started last week, verse 2, it says, "Command Israel's seed and say to them," here's what I'm going to read it on the right. "Charge Israel's seed and say to them, my korvan." They call it offerings. You know what? We got to be careful. Don't use those religious words. When you see offerings, look it up. Find out what the word is that they're actually using there. You'll be surprised. It's not often what you think. So he says, my korvan. Korvan, it's all about drawing near to Yehovah. This is a good thing. He says, my korvan is my food, my lechem. We tend to think lechem is bread. Where is that? There it is right there. No, that's not it. My food. What did I do here? Oh, there it is, lechem, food, especially bread or grain. No, it's food. It's Yehovah's food. My korvan is my food for my fire, a sweet aroma to his nose. He says, you shall guard them to bring them to me in their moed, in their appointed time. And so what we're doing here is he's telling us what korvan we are going to bring to Yehovah on these specific days. You say, well, Michael, what does that matter? Well, maybe for the average person, it doesn't matter at all. But for an Ezra man, a man who has left the kingdom of his birth, joined himself to Israel and their Elohim, who at Passover was circumcised and then partook in the Passover and became an Ezra man. The scriptures often talk about the native-born man, or they have other ways of saying it, but it's Ezra. That is Israel. Whenever it says children of Israel, I always say Israel's seed. We're talking about Ezra Nen. The promises in the Bible that the whole world is claiming for themselves isn't for them. It's not for the heathen. It's for those who have joined themselves to Yehovah by covenant in Passover and become Ezra men, true Israel, spiritually born Israel. That's who we're talking about, and that's why it's important. Yehovah says that he's coming back for his people, those who cut covenant with him by slaughter. Talking about Passover. Isaiah says the same thing in 26. This is important. We, Israel's seed are going to be raised up from the dead. Nobody else is going to get raised up from the dead. Everybody thinks, oh, well, my mommy went to heaven. My granny went to heaven. No, she didn't. She's in the earth. Not going to be around anymore. But Israel's seed is going to be raised. And I think that their women, bone of their bone, flesh of their flesh, are going to be raised also. So this is important. We are going to be one day. Wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to die and we're going to build a temple during our lifetime? Could that be happening right now? Oh, Father, that would be so cool. But regardless, I don't mind being raised from the dead so I can participate and get my place in Yehovah's kingdom. We're going to be doing these things. Here's the first one. I have it in verse 26. It's going to be the daily. We're going to do two things. We're going to do 2 male lambs. Verse 3. 2 male lambs. First year as an olah continually. One in the morning and the other in the evening. That's verse 4. With each of those olah burnt offerings, these are going to be completely consumed in the fire, everything but their flesh, their fur is going to be burned up. But it says with it, we're going to have, verse 5, a tenth of an ephah of flour. It's about 4.7 pounds of fine flour. This is a 5-pound bag. To give you an example of what that would be for each one. Once in the morning, once in the evening. But look what it says. A tenth of an ephah of fine flour as a grain mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil. 1/4 of a hin of oil. Here, let me do this. Here's a hin, is about 6 to 7 quarts of oil. I'm figuring that a hin, a quarter hin, 1/4 of a hin for the sheep, which is what we're doing here, lambs, is about 1.5 quarts or about 2 wine bottles in volume of oil. That's what we're going to have mixed with this. 2 of these, 1 of these. Sounds like it's going to be kind of a mashy stuff, doesn't it? It's going to be poured on the fire little by little throughout the process of it burning. And it takes a while to burn up a whole lamb. Wait till we get to the size of a bull or a ram. Next it says, it is a regular, as a continual olah, which was ordained at Mount Sinai for a sweet aroma by fire to Yehovah. Now it says in verse 7, and its drink. This is nesek. So the first thing we're talking about, the grain, it says grain. This is the minka. When you see that word grain, we're talking about a minka. I bet I can even show you what that looks like. Yeah, here it is right here, minka. It's usually flour or baked goods, or there's different kinds of minka. But this happens to be fine flour mixed with oil. Now we're talking about the nesek. Here's the nesek right here. It says, and its nesek is 1/4 hin for a lamb. It looks like it's stored in the holy. I think they store this maybe by the table, the showbread table, perhaps. But it sounds like it's being poured in the holy. You shall pour in the holy, you shall pour a drink, a nesek, pour, and look at they both end with this S, sin, cough, nesek, and here it is, starts with the noon sin, cough. But look what it is. It's a strong drink, an alcoholic, an intensely alcoholic liqueur, an intoxicant. Now, the rest of the time, it looks like we're using wine. We're going to see that when we get down to the new moon. But this is combustible. But again, we're talking about 2 bottles of, what did they say? Intensely alcoholic liqueur. Probably fairly combustible, I would assume. So that's what we're doing morning and evening. Now, it moves on and it talks about the Sabbath. So we have the daily. Now we're doing the Sabbath. On the Sabbath, we're also going to do 2 lambs in their first year, same as we did with the daily. But this time, it just says with its nesek. Now, I don't know. They're not telling us. Even here, they didn't say in verse 7, it says, pour out the drink. It's really, here it is, pour out the drink, a strong drink. They left out that word in the scripture. The New King James, it's left out that word entirely. Maybe they don't want these Christian people to think, oh, well, we don't have anything to do with strong drink. This is coming from the priests. They're putting it on the food for Yehovah. There's lots of holidays that it's okay to have a strong drink. Israel does drink. So now this just says drink for the Sabbath. It just says nesek. Now, do we assume that this is the same strong drink that we used for the daily? I don't know. I don't know if we can do that. But look at the next verse. This is an offering for the Sabbath. Besides, and here they have it. I translated it a little bit differently. Besides the regular burnt, in addition to the continual Aroma. So we're going to have these 2 animals slaughtered at the same time, and they're going to get 2/10 of an ephah, and probably, it doesn't say anything about the oil that's going to be on it. This one in the daily talks about oil mixed with this, but this one doesn't. Oh no, there it is, the grain offering mixed with oil. So it is going to have the oil with its drink. What we don't know, is it intensely alcoholic drink? I tend to think it is, since it hasn't said anything differently yet. We're going to move now. Oh, but then again, look what it says, verse 10 then. Again, then we're going to still do the daily. So in this particular day, there's going to be 4 sheep that are going to be, I don't want to say slaughtered, killed. I'll say killed. They're being used as olah. We're not going to eat them. They're not slaughtered. There's going to be 4 that are going to be used. But now, it says, at the beginning of your months. I think it's very interesting that the Sabbath comes before the months. Look what it says. At the beginning of your months, we're going to have 2 young bulls, 1 ram, 7 lambs. Now, I'm going to jump ahead just briefly. We're going to do Passover, verse 16. Verse 17 talks about 15 days, 15th day. For 7 days, we're going to do 2 young bulls, 1 ram, verse 19, 1 ram, 7 lambs. It's exactly the same thing. And then when we do Shavuot, we're going to do 2 young bulls, 1 ram, 7 lambs. All the spring feasts have the same thing. Now, for a bull, we're going to do 3 tenths. So instead of 1 of these, we're going to do 3 of these. Again, with their oil, mixed with oil. But look what the hint is. It says there, verse 14, their drink shall be a half a hin for a bull, half a hin of wine for a bull. Totally different word. This actually is wine. This is not strong drink. Okay, so why did it change? You have to ask yourself these questions. I don't know. But this is the beginning of months. In addition to the animals that we're going to slaughter, we're also going to do a kid of the goats. Kid of the goats. This is as. They translate it as it's a male goat. It's a male goat. But kid, I don't know where they get the kid. It gets translated. You can see, whenever you look at Strong's, when you see the dash, know that everything about that is how it's translated, not what it means. So it says a she-goat, as strong, but masculine in plural. So this happens to be the plural form of that particular word. It ends with im. So we're talking about a male goat. I think it probably is the first year. They say a kid of the goats. There's no kid of the goats. It's just a goat. And us. As a kata'ah. That's the sin offering. As a kata'ah to Yehovah shall be offered, shall be brought. Besides, and again, there it is again, in addition to the continual olah. Those are the animals that we're going to have in the morning and the evening. So we're going to have 2 bulls, 1 ram, 7 lambs, plus the 2 lambs, 9 lambs that are going to be slaughtered that day. And one of the lambs is going to be in the morning, one of them is going to be in the afternoon, or in the evening, and probably the 7 lambs are going to be in the middle of the day. My guess. Now it goes on to the 14th day, Passover, skips that. But again, 4 rams. So you kind of get the idea of where we're going with this. Again, each one of these has a kid of the goats to make a covering for you. Kid of the goats. Where is the other one? 7th day. Maybe these 7 days on the first day. You're going to do this daily for 7 days. Besides the drink, they don't have a kid of the goats for the Passover. We're not going to use a kid of the goats. We're going to see in all of the ones that we're going to use today, we're going to have a kid of the goats. Let's move now to where we're going to begin on the fall feasts. It says in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, Yom Teruah, you shall have a holy convocation, a Kadosh Mikra, a holy rehearsal. I like to think of it as a rehearsal. They put, it's a day of blowing trumpets. No, it's not. It's a day of shouting. It's a day of taruah, making noise. I think that it's the day that we're going to start saying 10, 9, 8, 7. We're counting down towards Day of Atonement, Day of Coverings. Probably the most holy day of the year. And we got to be ready. So this is a countdown, I think, that we're doing. We're going to do a grain offering, a minka, mixed with flour, 3 tenths for a bowl, 2/10 for the ram, 1/10 for each of the lambs, for each of the 7 lambs. Remember, this is a 10th. Mixed with the oil, for each 10th, we've got this much oil twice over mixed with it. Plus, also 1 kid of the goats as a kata'ah to make a covering for you. That's kind of the same information we were going through before. Besides, in addition to the usual new moon and continual olah. Now, look at this. Here we're making the young bull and the young bull, 1 young bull, not 2. This is different from the from the spring feasts. Now we're seeing 1 young bull, 1 ram, 7 lambs. It was 2 young bulls, 1 ram, 7 lambs, with all their ephah and their hen offerings, their nesek, or their mikvah and their nesek. Hey, quiet, honey. It's okay. I've got the dogs with me today. But now look what it says. This is the 7th month, Yom Teruah. It's the beginning of months. So look what it says. Besides the olah, I'm on verse 26, besides the olah with its minka for the new moon. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do the stuff for the new moon, which we talked about in 28, and in addition to the usual new moon and continual olah, we're going to do that. Now, this doesn't have a drink. Why doesn't this have a drink? It's got the minka. There it is, minka there. But the only drink is for the continual offering, which, of course, is going to be the strong drink, the highly intoxicating drink, according to their ordinances, as it's read Aroma, by fire to Yehovah. Now, here's on the 10th day, a holy convocation. What's the word they use for that? Do I even have it? Let me look it up for you. A mikra, kodesh. A rehearsal, a holy rehearsal. The notes that I have here is about afflicting your souls and all the things that really we're supposed to be doing on this high day, this holy rehearsal, and what it means to afflict our souls. We're not really dealing with that today. What we're dealing with today is the offerings that we're going to make for this particular day. Verse 8 says, you shall bring, they have present, the word is bring, you shall bring an olah to Yehovah, a sweet aroma, 1 young male bull, 1 ram, 7 male sheep of the first year. They shall be whole, in good shape, whole and alive. I have to ask, why are they using 1 bull instead of 2? Inquiring minds want to know. I don't know. Don't ask me. I can't figure it out. But all the fall feasts use 1 bull rather than 2 bulls, like the spring feast did. Well, I should say at least until we get to Shavuot, because our Sukkot, we're going to see that it's going to be significantly different. But again, grain offering mixed with oil, 3/10, 2/10, 1/10, bull, ram. Settle down, please. He's a young boy. He's a sweetheart, but he's a little bit of a noisy one. He's a nervy guy. Again, one kid of the goats. Kid of the goats. This time they're going to call it a Sair Azim. Sair Azim. And Sair Azim. And now, sorry guys, my son is in the house, and when he moves around, it makes this guy nervous. I'm gonna shut the door. You're being a little bit of a bother. Now we can't see him. Sorry, folks. Kid of the goats. As it got to Again, they're translating as kid of the goats. Now they're using two words instead of just Azim. Now it's Sair Azim. Va Azir Sair Azim. And a kid of the goats. Again, and a male goat. Kid of the goats. I put a male goat. It's a male goat. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a male goat. There's nothing about kid here. We don't know. I think it probably is, like I said, I think it probably is a young goat. I think it's under a year old. In addition to the continual law. We're going to do that again. We're going to have one goat besides, in addition to the besides the Gata'ah for atonement, the continual Olah with its Minka and its Nesek. Again, that's the strong drink that we're talking about. Now, look at this. 15th day. Some people treat the 15th day of this month, of any month, special. I think it's a mistake. Look what this says. On the 15th day of the 7th month, you shall have a holy convocation, Mikra Kadosh. A holy, what do I want to call it? A holy rehearsal. On the 15th day of the 7th month, you shall have a holy kadosh. You shall do no customary work. It's a day that we're not going to do any work, like a Sabbath. You shall keep a feast to Yehovah for 7 days. You shall present an olah. No, you shall bring, here it is right now, bring an olah. Here's the word that they use for bring, korav. Approach. Bring near. Approach. Bring. You shall bring an olah by fire, a sweet aroma unto Yehovah. 13 male bulls. 13 male bulls. 2 rams. Now we have 2 rams. This was 1 ram. The chapter before, did we have 2 rams or did we have 1 ram? No, we used 1 ram. Now we're using 2 rams in this chapter. 10th day, 15th day. Here we are. You shall do no customary work. You shall bring an olah by fire without blemish. 13 young bulls. That's a lot of bulls. Young bulls, your first year. 2 rams, 14 lambs. There's a lot of olah going up to Yehovah during this particular feast. This is just the first day. In their first year, they shall be without blemish. They shall be whole, alive, in good shape. Their minka shall be fine flour mixed with oil. 3/10 of an ephah, just like we did before. 3 of these. with their, they don't have, look, it doesn't have a drink offering with it. There is no drink offering. I guess I took it off. There is no drink offering with this particular one. And 1/10 for each of the 14 lambs. So again, for 14 lambs, there's 14 lambs, not 7 lambs. Remember, it was 7 lambs. Now it's 14 lambs. So we doubled the rams, doubled the sheep, and gone way up on the bulls. 1/10 of an ephah for the minka. Also, a kid of the goats. What do they say this time? They use the same one. Vasayir azim. But look what it says. 1 kid of the goats, besides, in addition to the continual olah, it's minka and it's nesek. Do you notice that it doesn't say anything about a Sabbath korvan on the 15th day of the month? That should say something to people. You know who I'm talking about. Now the second day, we're going to see this happen twice in this feast. On the second day, they're going to do, we did 13, now we're going to do 12 young bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs. All the stuff is going to be the same, plus the continual olah is going to be there as well. Use the same words for the male goat. Then the third day, we're going down 11 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs, plus their minka. Oh, but look at this. And their minka and their nesek for the bulls, for the rams and the lambs by their number according to their ordinances. So what's going on? Are we to assume that because even though they didn't mention the drink offering, well, maybe they did in this one, the drink offering. They didn't do it on the first one. They just did the grain, the minka, but there's no drink here. We don't see the drink until we get to the continual offering, the daily. But this one, third day, it has grain and a drink offering, a minka and a nesek. So do we just assume that there's going to be a nesek, even though it didn't say it in one of them? Maybe. Maybe it just comes that way. But it wasn't in all of them. We saw in some of the spring feasts that there was no nesek, no drink offering. But maybe there is. Maybe they just didn't put it in there. I don't know. Also, the goats. Now look, this just says sayir, sayir, and a goat. And I just should do this. And a male goat is what it's saying. And a male goat. But they didn't use the 2 words. But they translated the same, a kid of the goats, as a kata'ah. See, these are things we have to think through. Every place where I have red are all added words. All the way through here. All these are all added words. They're not in the Hebrew. Now, here we are the 4th day, going to 10 bulls, 14 lambs, 2 rams, without blemish, their grain and their minka. Also the kid of the goats. Back to the 2 words for that. As a sin offering. Besides the in addition to the continual, the offering continual. 5th day. Remember, this is a 7-day feast. 5th day, 9 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs. without blemish. Same deal. Grain, minka, kid of the goats. You went back to the one word again. Plus in addition to the continual olah. We're still going to do that. Remember, the nesek is the strong drink. If we're using a drink on these are probably going to be wine rather than the daily. It seems like the daily and maybe the Sabbath uses the strong drink. I can't guarantee that on the Sabbath. I haven't been able to find that anywhere else. 6th day, 8 rams, or 8 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs. In addition, in their first year without blemish. Again, whole, alive, good, in good shape. And their grain, their minka, and their nesek for the bulls, for the rams, and the lambs by their number according to the ordinance. Also, kid of the goats, went back to one word again, in addition to the continual olah. It's minka and its drink. But now it's the 7th day, which would be the 21st day of the month. We're going to have 7 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 lambs. The 2 rams, 14 lambs are for every day, but it goes down. So we've had 13 plus 12 plus 11 plus 10 plus 9. It comes out to 70. Is Yehovah telling us something here? Look what some verses that I found. Your fathers went down to Egypt with 70 persons. And now Yehovah, your Elohim, has made you as the stars of heaven in multitude. That's choosing 70. We had 70 elders. Now he said to Moses, come up to Yehovah, you and Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 of Israel's elders to worship from afar. They're going up onto Mount Sinai. Now here's 70 men. So Moses went out and told the people the words of Yehovah, and he gathered 70 men, same men, I guess, of the elders of the people, and placed them around the tabernacle. Then Yehovah came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took of the spirit that was upon him, and placed the same upon the 70 elders. And it happened that the spirit rested upon them, that they prophesied. Although they never did it again. What it really is saying, they did it continually. We'd have to go back to actually see that. Couple things. Here he's putting the same spirit that was on Moses, he's putting it on these 70 men. Yehovah says he takes away their spirit, they die and return to the earth. Every living thing has a spirit in it, but it's not necessarily the Holy Spirit. It's the spirit of life. Many people will somehow believe, they got this whole thing in their brains about the Holy Spirit. I would say what Moses had was the Holy Spirit. What Yehovah gave these 70 men that Moses had was a Kadosh spirit. But he didn't give it to everyone in the camp, and they're Israel. They're the Ezra men. They're not people from France, people from England, people from the United States. These are Ezra men. It says, but 2 men had remained in the camp. I'm continuing here in verse 26. But 2 men remained in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, and the name of the other was Medad. And the Spirit rested upon them. And they were among those listed who had not gone out to the tabernacle, yet they prophesied in the camp. So they were among the 70, but they weren't even there, and they still prophesied. Here's Yasher, 931. And they built the tower and the city, And they did this thing daily until many days and years were elapsed. And Elohim said to the 70 angels who stood foremost before him. So now Yehovah has got 70 angels. 70. What is significant about this number? I would like to know. I'm not going to read the rest of this. Here we're talking about 70 languages. This was when Joseph came before Pharaoh, and Pharaoh was up on a pedestal, 70 steps. And for every step Joseph went up, he had to be able to speak 70 languages. 70 steps, 70 languages. Well, all things that I think are very interesting for us. I need to always do this. I don't know why I should have to do this, but I guess I do. Whoops. Come on. This way. So I can see that all the way to the bottom here. Yeah. And it was customary for those in those days in Egypt that no one should reign over them, but whoever understood to speak 70 languages. So Yehovah downloaded Joseph with 70 languages. 70. I don't know what the significance of it is, but that's what this added up to. All these numbers that we were bringing to Yehovah for bulls each day. So that was the seventh day. Now, they did their kata'ah, the kata'ah, the sin offering. Again, they're using the one word, vasayir, male goats and a male goat, in addition to the continual olah. But now, here's the 8th day. The 8th day is the 22nd day of the month. You shall have a sacred assembly. You shall do no customary work. This is the other day during the feast that we are going to have a kind of a Sabbath day, a day of rest. A sacred assembly. What is the word they use for sacred assembly? Let's look. Solemn. Azarat. Atzarat. Become. We're going to have, I guess, sacred assembly, as I can translate. Ye shall have. Yeah, they translated become as haya, as become. Remember, when the man eats the Passover lamb, haya Ezra haaretz, he becomes as one born in the land. So, you shall have. Okay, that's in Exodus 12:48, in case you're interested. Get to the right verse here. All right. On the 8th day, sacred assembly. You shall do no customary work. You shall present, you shall bring, there it is, bring, an olah by fire, a sweet aroma unto Yehovah. 1 young male bull, 1 ram, 7 lambs. So we're going 1, 7, 1, 1, 7 again. Of the first year, they shall be tamim. Notice we are now back to a normal feast korban, using 1 bull, 1 ram, and 7 lambs. And their minka and their nesek. So on this day, we're going to have a minka and a nesek. Also, a kata'ah, using both words, this is basayir as azim, as a kata'ah, as a kata'ah. Besides, in addition to the continual olah. Now again, here's the 22nd day of the month. This is the 22nd day of the month, and there is no Sabbath korban mentioned. Why is there no Sabbath korban mentioned if this is supposedly a Sabbath? It's not there. These you shall present to Yehovah at your appointed times. Appointed times, at your moeds, is the word they're using, in addition to your vows. So this is now a summation of the last two chapters that we've gone over, the korbans that we're going to bring to Yehovah. He says, these you shall bring to Yehovah at their appointed times, at their appointed feasts, Chag, besides your vowed offerings, your free will. Here, I wrote it here. Besides your vows is Nadar, and your spontaneous offerings, Nedabah, your Olah. We can bring our own Olah anytime we want to just do something for Yehovah. Your Minka, we can just bring a Minka. We can just bring a Nesek. And your Shalamim. Remember, Shalamim is the ones that we're going to eat. We're going to slaughter it at the tabernacle and give up the breast to the priests, give the leg to the priests, and take the rest of it home. We're going to eat it. We've got 2 days, maybe 3 days to eat it, depending on what it's being used for. So Moses told Israel's seed everything just as Yehovah commanded Moses. Again, Moses died in chapter 27. This is chapter 29, and we're still talking about Moses. Not sure what to do with that. I mean, I know it's not chronological. Torah isn't. But why didn't they have Moses die at the end of the chapter? It seemed like it would make more sense. Well, that's it for today, folks. We are going to talk about, I think it's the 4th, 5th, 3rd. Let's look. Exodus 20. I think it's the 3rd. 1, 2, 3. You shall not take the name of Yehovah your Elohim in vain, for Yehovah will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. What does that mean? I'll tell you, nobody has a clue. Next week, we're going to talk about it. It's called vows to Yehovah. Yehovah swears in his own name, and he does what he says he's going to do. And if you take a vow in his name, you by jinky better do what you say you're going to do. There's going to be consequences. Well, we're going to talk about that next week. I think you'll find it interesting. You guys, thank you for joining me. Please give me a like if you would, and share this if you find somebody who might be interested in it. I'd sure appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye now.